One of my biggest things is process over outcome.
Okay.
You have to. If you want to win the big game, you want to win the Super Bowl, you can't spend your season thinking about winning the Super Bowl. Your season needs to be about, let's break it, the next game. And then during that game, the next move, the next play.
Yeah.
You just, like I always say, you only have to go 10 yards at a time. That's it. You don't have to worry about the touchdown. You don't have to worry about the home run. Get to first base. The bigger picture will come if you do the processes right.
Let's talk Tails. Today on Tales with Taylor, I'm with a dedicated mental performance coach specializing in helping teen and college athletes achieve peak performance through mindset mastery and emotional resilience. With a focus on high achievers, this coach supports athletes in navigating the pressures of elite sports, building mental toughness, and maintaining balance on and off the field through programs designed to empower young athletes utilizing her unique qualifications in neuro-linguistic programming and mental performance coaching. It's founder of TWA, Mental Performance and Teen Warrior Academy, Suzi Freeman. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent.
That's a tongue twister, huh?
Neuro-linguistic. So tell me, obviously it has to do with the mind and the brain. What is that exactly?
Yeah, well, it's exactly that. It's learning how to work within the subconscious and things like, removing limiting beliefs, negative emotions, and reprogramming. We can get them to reframe things the way they're thinking. And then, of course, it goes into visualization and all of the things, but it's really in that space there. And I only really use, neurolinguistics is so big, but I only really pick a few good pieces that work in this space right now for me that I have really mastered in that space with NLP, but it's good all around.
That is awesome. And, in your bio, you said that one of your favorite snacks was popcorn, but not just any popcorn. It's popcorn with an avocado oil spray and seasoning. So can you explain to me, how do we do this? How do we make this cocktail
That
a
might
snack?
be hard in the little thing. But
okay.
Yeah, no, I was really looking, I learned, just like why I kind of quit drinking, I learned certain things are more experiences or habits, which is what I teach kids. We really have habits. So I thought, okay, for me in the evening, these snacks, it was more of a crunchy kind of thing that I wanted. So what can I do to be a little healthier? And speaking with my dietitian, she's like, hey, avocado spray, some seasoning, you're good. That way I don't have to buy the cheesy ones, all the.
Yeah.
So I have an air popper, pop it. And then but I can tell you, it's going to get, well, I don't know. The one coming from I don't want to miss your.
Just go for it.
Right?
Do it.
Oh, pretty. Yeah. And just,
okay.
season you up. Because the avocado spray, it's healthier than like the thick butter, right?
So you do salt and pepper?
Yeah, I do. This makes your seasoning stick. That's why. It just helps the seasoning stick on there, and it's not like saturated in all the crazies.
Shake it around a little.
I know, right? Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. I was telling you that. Ooh, I love that.
That's interesting.
I was telling you that I think when I came in that I bought nutritional yeast. It was flavored. My daughter is like, oh, Parmesan cheese. And she literally dumped a massive amount of nutritional yeast across her popcorn. I don't recommend that. Not at all. It is not what you think it is.
Nutritional yeast, though, that can be good. I've definitely used it as like an additive for things.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I have like a garlic one that just lightly, perfect.
Yeah.
It's great. And it adds a little, I think there's some protein in that.
I think so, yeah. Because as a vegetarian, I'm always trying to see like, what can I add in that extra protein?
That would be it for sure. So yeah, I just kind of went that route. And it's pretty good, but it's definitely helpful. And as we talked about the husky, she loves popcorn too. So she totally knows when it's popping and she's coming.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you also are a hypnotist, is that correct? Do you use hypnotherapy at all in your programs?
Well, I would say yes and no. Yes, okay. I was certified in hypnotherapy through my whole NLP. It's part of it. I don't necessarily do like full hypnosis and stuff. What I've done is taken the skill in hypnosis and I do like a hypnomeditation. Okay. So I might take hypnosis scripts or write them what is fitting for the kid I'm working with. sometimes if I need them to relax better, I'll have them paint a picture for me of what that looks like, and, one kid was like, I see myself floating on this, raft or whatever in this space, and the space looks like this. So I just take that picture they paint, favorite colors, other things, and I create a meditation script in that hypnosis format, if that makes sense. So I don't lead in with inductions and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Not deep into that. I could, but I don't.
Okay. Are there particular athletes that you focus on more? Are you, working primarily with football players or basketball players, or is it everything in between?
Yeah, see, that's what's getting kind of fun. I feel like, don't quote me guys, and I'm not set on it, but I feel like I'm really going to lean in football and baseball. I am going to start working with a girls team volleyball soon. I've not worked with a girls team yet, so I'm a little excited, but also just curious.
Yeah.
Girls do things a little differently than boys. I've been a lot around football, but that's really, my boys did football. That's where I learned all this stuff. It feels like home to me. I love the football space. And secretly, I will probably niche down into even a specific position with football. But I'm not going to reveal that yet because I don't want people to think that's all I do.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm teetering a few, and we'll see, where I love. But there's one in particular position or team within the football unit that I really am drawn to.
Interesting. That makes me so curious. I love football, so I'm definitely, just curious. And,
we'll just call them special.
Okay. So maybe just the special people on the special side of the team.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Love that. Love that piece. Love where their head's at. Love where they need.
Yeah.
Because, they all need it. But
those are true players. You every day in and day out, prove your worth.
Yeah.
Which can be tough, especially for children. And I think baseball, I know you're saying you're going to focus on football, but I find since my son, he's 5 years old, he's in a 6U coach pitch league.
Yeah.
The 3 strikes you're out. How mentally tough these kids are having to be at such a young age.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got 3 strikes, you're out. Quarterbacks, the whole day, 4 strikes, you're out. You get 4 tries to make it. Then it's next turn, their turn. So there's a lot of that. And I think that aids to that pressure. But baseball, that's a big, they're all big mental, but that's a big mental game too. Because why I say special team or baseball in that regard is I look at the fact that these players have a lot of free time on the sideline. So when you have that free time right after, say, a mistake or a turnover, that's when your head matters. Yes. That's when you're either going to spiral out or you're going to spiral up, right? Sure. Because a quarterback or an offense, defense, they're out. They're doing, continue until it's not their turn. But the other people, pitchers and such, or batters, have instant win or not for them specifically. And then it's, drop your head, walk off, right? We want to really kind of combat that. So
I think that's why drop the head and walk off. I see the kids every Saturday.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
You don't want them to do that.
You don't, you kind of encourage them. Good swings. But our whole society, I feel, is stuck on results. We don't think about the journey.
Yeah. See, and that's what I teach. One of my biggest things is process over outcome.
Okay.
You have to. If you want to win the big game, you want to win the Super Bowl, you can't spend your season thinking about winning the Super Bowl. Your season needs to be about, let's break it, the next game. And then during that game, the next move, the next play.
Yeah.
You just, like I always say, you only have to go 10 yards at a time. That's it. You don't have to worry about the touchdown. You don't have to worry about the home run. Right. Get to first base. Yeah. Let's just get to, what do you need to do to get to first base? What's your feet placement? How is your holding the bat? How are you coming into it with your mind? That matters. And that's exactly what it is. Taking the little pieces, the processes, for the bigger picture. The bigger picture will come if you do the processes right.
So true. Trying to teach my son too, just don't swing at everything. If it's a bad pitch, don't swing. And that's just, that mental toughness of saying, okay, I don't like that. And then too, he almost feels like it's, I don't know if it's cheating or, I got to walk. And it's that's a success. You beat the pitcher that way, but it's
true, right? It's not a weakness.
Yeah.
Because he didn't mess up. He did his job by not swinging when he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
That's part of it. But yeah, that's got to be tough teaching a
5-year-old. Yes. I'm amazed how entertaining these 5-year-olds are.
I'm amazed at how the 5, 6, 7-year-olds even perform. Like I have a 13-year-old kid I'm working with AAA hockey.
Oh, wow.
Shocking at the dedication and just like being in that and other things. They're just so 13. You're like, and you do that? It's very cool. But I think it's almost, it's like two people, if you will, with these kids. Mm-hmm. They get in a zone here, but then they're in a different zone here. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of fun to watch. It really is.
And you are a mom of 5, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. And so as a mother of 5 and building a business, what advice do you have to other parents and especially moms, who are navigating that as well?
Yeah. I think the best, so moms, it's very hard, of course, or even dads in that space. But for me, it was incorporating them, finding any way to incorporate them. Granted, my business is pretty easy. I can have the girls come to a workshop at the football team and they pass out the papers or whatever, right? Give out snacks. It's pretty easy in that space. But if you don't have a business where your kids can fully integrate, I had set up an office at home. I brought in different corners, they have their homework desks. So I'm working there and there, whether they're reading or they're, I don't know, doing some homework, coloring, they're in there with me. Yeah. They're not necessarily participating in my job, but they're there.
It's the quality time. Yeah. My son, he's on fall break right now. And, I had to get some desk work and just like, why don't you do your coloring next to me? Yep. And it's so true. It's just being there for them sometimes.
Yeah. And you can even make it look like it's a business task. Oh, mom needs, hey, why don't you create me a logo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look, you're like, ready.
Yeah, super cute, right? Exactly.
I have so much on my wall over there that people don't see.
Right, exactly. The refrigerator that's just
12
covered.
Logos over there.
Yeah. That was Mach 1. Mach 2, we ended on this one.
She was 6 here. Now she's 14.
Right.
Yeah. So I think just that space really, and it's really powerful for them to see that. Mm-hmm. I mean, as you know, Hannah, the twins are 13 now. They're the only ones at home. My other kids are adults. I would say the first batch and then the twins. So I'll bring her. She's homeschooled. Well, online schooled. I think that counts though, because she's home. I have to manage it. It's homeschooled.
You're basically homeschooling.
Pretty much. So yeah, one's homeschooled, one is not. Okay. So I will bring her to business meetings. I'll bring her to business lunches. She needs to see. And people come and chat with her and interact with her. And it's kind of making her come out of that comfort zone too. So I think just incorporate them the way you can.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. I love that. And you mentioned that your sons played sports. Did your daughters play sports as well? Or
yes. Yeah. Yeah. My oldest daughter, as you know her, Mercedes, she's 30. She did cheer and competitively and at the high school level. She started cheer about the same time my oldest son was about 5 when he started tackle football. Okay. So yeah, my boys from tiny all the way through high school tackle football. And they're still extremely active. My younger son, he's 25. He is a police officer. Mm-hmm. He does jujitsu though. He's always kind of played in MMA, wrestling, and football. Ryan is any kind of extracurricular, but he's in the military. He's his job's not easy right now. He's at the Mountain Warfare Training Center. So he's always in the mountains, always in the woods, always just very active. Yeah. Love that stuff. The kids have been very inspirational in that piece of staying motivated, body conscious, all of those things. The twins, one does volleyball and one does Muay Thai.
Nice. Very interesting.
That is the word. It's very interesting.
Yes. What made her decide that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
She just said, I'm going to do Muay Thai. I'm like, okay. Cool. Okay. Because we did Krav Maga a few years ago and it was like, But I think this Muay Thai, the minute I took her in, she was hitting that day.
Wow.
Yeah. Huh. So I'm like, okay.
Very cool. Do you think it's important for kids to find a sport?
It's mandatory. I think it is mandatory. And I'll tell you this story. And my son is, if he gets mad, that's fine. It's his fault for being an adult now. But no, they've always been in sports. I feel like it's important. Camaraderie, it's the lessons, it's having a coach to rely on, especially if you're a single mom or a single parent, because they can also look to that coach as a role model as well. But no, I'll just straight out, tested it, if you will, kids football, sport from 5 years old on. Freshman year, entering high school, he was like, well, I don't really want to do football, but he was into skateboarding and riding bikes. So I'm like, oh, okay, as long as you do something. This is when that kid was getting in trouble. I am not going to lie. He started hanging out with the wrong crowd. He was not where he had to report to, practice, report. There was no structure. Yeah, he was skateboarding. He was skateboarding with the kids that weren't the best of kids. So let's just say it led us to swapping high schools, where he instantly went on the team and excelled. Amazing. I didn't even recognize him. He's like, Mom, I'm number 9. I showed up. I watched the first game. I'm like, I think he mixed up the numbers. That isn't how my kid plays. Wow. But that is also what solidified for me that team culture is so important. So important. If the team culture is right and those kids get along and they have each other's backs, they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I was doing an interview recently for the Chandler Sports Hall of Fame. We were interviewing a coach, and I asked, he's obviously won multiple state championships, and I was like, what's the one consistent aspect to a winning team you feel? And he said love. Loving each other, loving your teammate, loving your coach, playing for each other. Right. And that's the only thing you can build through team sports.
Right. I mean, think about it, because he did have an experience with a bad. If you're a quarterback and you're not nice to anybody, what do you think?
Yeah, that O-line's not taking care of you.
Right, yeah. Are they going to risk a broken leg?
Yeah, no.
Not really. So it stinks. And people come to a sport for that. You really do. You come because they're solo sports. If you don't want that team love and team camaraderie and that family feeling, then you wouldn't pick a sport there. Those that pick those sports, they want that. They crave that. Again, I can give you another example. I didn't realize how important and how much that was an actual thing. But when Ryan, same boy, he would have loved to play college ball. He got hurt his senior year. He was still there dressing out, doing all the things, and, was very dedicated to the team. And when he went up to NAU, he didn't really belong to a team anymore. He would grab extracurriculars and stuff, and he might get a little embarrassed I tell this, but then 2 years in, he said, I'm going to go into the military. He already had that on his list. He just would have graduated first, but he's like, I'm going to do it early. Great. Yeah. Well, letters coming home from boot camp, and I even highlighted one. He was so excited that his name was on his underwear. Oh. He's like, oh my God, this is so fun. My name's on my underwear. So right then, as reading it as a mom, I was like, this kid needs a team. Yeah. He needs to belong somewhere with police, with fire, with military. The military, He needs a brotherhood. Not everybody does. And those that do thrive. Yeah. And I mean, there my boys are. Police officer, military. Right. And same. I don't know how many kids from the football team, the boys that are in military, in police, in, they all kind of took those paths, that tight-knit group of them. They all have a group kind of job. Yeah. There's no soloness out there.
And what's interesting? That person, that coach is wrestling. So a sport that you would think is an individual sport. Yeah. He still said it's about team. It's about winning, not just for yourself, but for your team. Yeah. And so, even some of those individual sports, we've done a lot of interviews where, golf is another example. Right. Yes, you have your individual, but then you still win as a team. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I think they're all individualities. As I watch one of my clients, they lost last week, but for me, I'm like, he won, he did his job. Yes. So I do still see their little individual pieces. Not that you ever want, there's no blame and stuff. But I always tell my kids, the clients and stuff, as long as you do your job 100%, that's all that matters. Because if everybody does their job 100%, the team will win. Focus on what you can control.
Control the controllables. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's fun because sometimes I'll be like, yay! And they're like, they're losing. I'm like, not him!
Yeah, he did his job. He did it. Yeah, exactly.
He's not. Yep. And I'll even send in the message like, but you did amazing. It's like, great.
Oh, that is tough though. It is tough to lose. But,
I know.
But. And so you have pods, basically, groups. So Tell me more about that.
To make it more cost effective and to make it more where kids can support each other, because I think it's important to have like a little mentorship, right? The team aspect, also a little mentorship. If you can have a 13-year-old, like my 13-year-old hockey kid loves the other client I have. And he's like, please introduce me, the college. I said, well, you have to like, get to a certain, do some things and we'll introduce. So I think having that, say a high school senior who's well on their way and a freshman coming in, they can share those pieces and share the love and learn. Yeah. So I love that. But I offer, so we've got the pods of 6, which is like, I kind of took that concept of who are the 5 best you surround yourself around, or, that, whatever that quote is.
Yeah, you're the average of the top 5 people, or the
top
5 people you hang around with.
Yes. So if you have your pod of 5, that's like your little posse, you've got them to rely on and bounce thoughts, get some mentorship and help along with me coaching that. And then there's the pod of 15.
Okay.
15 is good. It's still reasonable. It still gives that team, but it makes it affordable. So kids can get to me. It's, it's $150 a month to come into a pod of 15.
Nice.
And I live coach. They also get lessons.
And what are the age groups of athletes that you're able to work with?
Junior high and up. So basically 13-ish. I mean, I think that's kind of it. I haven't really had any younger. If someone came to me with 11 that was really stellar dedicated, we would see, because I don't want the parents to have to waste dollars in that. But I am
because having athletes expensive.
Yeah. And I am thinking about writing a little book for even youngers, like 5.
Well, what would be the title of this book?
I don't know. Maybe you can help me because you have the baseball player.
Right, maybe. There we go.
We'll just go to the book. Yeah, no, I'm not sure, but I want something, because when I think about a lot of these lessons I teach, the themes each week and stuff, there's very easy pieces to show a 5 and a 6-year-old. Heck, I'll show my granddaughter some of these things. I'm like, we got to do this. She's 3. So I'm thinking about it, because it doesn't have to be an extensive book for a 5 to a 7-year-old. It's like a couple sentences. So it kind of was a cheat. I was like,
you can almost make it like an activity book.
I can be an author.
Yes,
and it'd be easy to start. So I have been thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, I think it'd be really fun. I can almost see it being a workbook where it's kind of tying back to a conversation I had with my son earlier about visualization.
Yes.
Maybe have like an empty field, like visualize how you're going to play.
Yes.
And that's the thing. He was already saying, oh, maybe I'm going to play bad like I did. I'm like, well, if you say that, you will. But instead, let's think about what we want to do. You know?
And then when they don't do well, part of like post visualization is re-visualize what didn't go well going right. That's always a good thing they should do. So you could teach them like, okay, great. We all mess up. You didn't swing very well at this. How would you visualize you doing it right?
Right. Yeah.
And let them do that.
Yeah.
That's a very good, strong for them to anchor. I also do part of NLP is anchoring. So it anchors confidence. So I taught one of my kids recently, if you're feeling a little down or whatever, his wrist is anchored. He'll just squeeze his wrist real quick. It instantly puts your brain back in that positive state.
Interesting.
Because we've trained it.
Yeah.
So you train that during watching great moments, or when great moments happen, or reliving a great moment in that peak. Because if you think of a really good memory, you get like excited and you can feel like it building of like joy, and then you feel it kind of dissipate. So when you feel you're at that peak joy, you do the anchor. It can be a wrist, it can be a knuckle tap, it can be anything, putting on a jacket, you can anchor shoes, all kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like to teach those. And those are the NLP things that come into play.
Interesting.
So those things were not taught to me through my mental performance coaching, but I integrate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, the world of athletes and being a parent with an athlete is getting more complex. Now we're in a world of NIL, name, image, and likeness, where children, let's just be real, children are getting paid lots of money sometimes, but not all the time. So
this is true.
How would you recommend a parent to approach this journey with their children?
Well, I mean, there's going to be resources out soon. As we know, I just came on as president of Project Nilo, which is educating the kids. And then there's a version of Wish I Had Known, educating the parents. But One kid I'm starting with on Monday, he's a senior in high school. He's been committed to University of Washington, and he'll be getting, you're talking over 6 figures promised in NIL dollars as a freshman, 18 years old.
Man, I should have went into sports.
I know, right? But the NIL is changing a lot. I would say for parents, if I could throw out any kind of advice that just seems as a parent advice, because remember, we're learning a lot's happening. The NCAA just changed some rules, like signing day is now gone. Yep. That's not a thing. So you're always needing to be up on it. I think most parents are they rely on their coaches a lot, I'll say. I think definitely, if you can, look into the schools that you're thinking of and what their rules are. Each state is different. Each rules are different. You do not want your kid to end up ineligible by doing something wrong. Yeah. So I say definitely consult and learn. Google can be your friend. It really can. There are attorneys out there. It doesn't even hurt to talk to an agent just to learn a little, especially if you really think your kid's going to be over the top. It makes sense. But stay tuned. Keep watching my Instagram. You'll see.
Excellent.
That's the best I can give in that space because it's, a lot is changing.
It's so new and I'm sure it's going to keep changing.
Since there's no signing day, these kids aren't having to fully commit a year. The transfer portal is going to get more busy. Coaches can even trade from how I read it. That's how I read it. Yes. I mean, I haven't fully, I'll learn more about it, but really I briefly scanned it, got some bullets from it. And from what I understand, it now is going to allow, for one, they don't have to wait to a certain day to get kids committed, to make offers, to do those things. I think it was kind of sad though too, because wasn't signing day a bit exciting?
It was exciting, yeah. It was an exciting moment for people. Yeah, you get to go to the table, you get to have the hats in front of you, you pick the hat. It's always so fun.
I know. So the fact that they took that is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And I can kind of see both sides, just like I can kind of see both sides with NIL.
Yeah.
There's just a lot to consider. And again, heck, right now on out floating in the bill, government land is a bill proposing that, should we make these college athletes employees of the school? A lot to consider, right? So, gosh, staying up on NIL, you're going to have to be really in the know.
Yeah. And connect with resources like yourself.
Yes.
And
yes. I will be a great resource for that. I can say with all that's coming and the nonprofit I just got accepted a position on. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole other world. I do think that it's great that, kids are getting paid because when you look at the revenue, especially college football, the amount of money that they make off of them, but I still want to feel that there's an emphasis on education. They're student athletes.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that student part is going to get lost. I think so many athletes are going to look at who's going to pay me the highest dollar versus I think before it used to be a philosophy. We're grateful to always do the Chandler Sports Hall of Fame interviews of athletes who have, did well in high school and moved on.
Yeah.
And whenever I ask, why did you choose Stanford? Why did you choose, name your college? I knew I was going to get an academically sound, experience and be on a good team.
Yeah.
And that first part, I'm afraid, is going to get missed, And so is that something that you talk to your athletes about? I know in high school, I had to have a good GPA to be eligible.
Right. And they still do in that college space. It's not as high as you think, but they do.
Yeah, it's like 2.0 or something.
I know.
We don't need to say that. But
depends on the school.
Right.
And it also depends on the school. Some schools are harder. But this is why Arizona, because I don't know if you're very familiar, but there's a lot of high school states that allow high school kids to participate in NIL. Now that's just getting dirty. I don't even agree with that. Thankfully, Arizona does not. Arizona does agree. Education first. If you put NIL into the sport, it takes away education being first and the sport being just fun.
Yeah.
So I do agree. See, I'm torn in this college aspect because I feel like the colleges are making way too much money off of the sport. And I think kids having the opportunity in that space, I don't know if it's going to sway the colleges in any one or another, because I feel like you're going to be one of two kinds of kids. There's kids that chase the big name, the big school, because they want the sweatshirt.
Right.
Like some of the coaches I work with say, hey, don't chase the sweatshirt. chase the education, chase the team. Because what kids don't think is they're like, oh my gosh, if I can go to the Big Ten, I'm immediately amazing. Honestly, if you go to the Big Ten, you're probably going to be benched. You might not even make it. You're a star here, but you're not going to be a star there yet because they have a senior that's a star. So people don't get it. If you pick these little lesser, and again, these are my opinions. I'm just saying from what I've learned.
And that's where the transfer portal has been beneficial for people who, okay, I'm just a second string. I'm second string. If I go here, I can start.
Correct.
You know, and so there is benefits to it.
Yeah. And again, I mean, the money might not always follow, but that's up for people to make those choices. At least now they have those choices.
Right.
And I think from what I've been learning too, because this NIL is very new to me, being, you know, kind of brought to me in that space where I've just really started diving deep. And it's very interesting because it makes sense with what I do. Not that I try to encourage or anything in that space, but it still is something to think about. And it's still something I feel obligated, knowing what I know, to just be like, hey, parent, you should really take a look at this.
Yes.
Make sure you're educated. That's it. I don't sway one way or the other, but it's important to know. And I think it's still important for kids to have choices. And again, kids are going to choose. They're going to choose for the education or not. I mean, heck, think about the kids that are juniors and they're doing really well and they're looking at maybe draft material. Now they have to think, okay, do I enter the draft and not finish college? Do I, right? It's kind of the same. So you're just asking them to pick a path.
Yeah.
So I guess I say pick what makes you happy. You can always do college. You can take online. You can change college, but go where the team feels good for you. Go where the coaches treat you well. Go where you're respected. Go where you get the play time. You know, go where it's going to fulfill you.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? You don't want to go where you don't get to play. That's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah, no one wants to do that. People play a sport to play the game.
Correct, yeah. So just go where you're going to be valued. The rest is going to be fine. And education is an education. And as we know, you're going to make the best out of your education by exploring that degree further or exploring that avenue of career further. Education's education, kind of.
Yes. Asterisks.
I know, right? So, I don't know. It's hard because out of my 3, only one actually graduated. And the only reason he did it, he knew he was going to be a police officer, but he's like, I got a free ride. I'll do it. And you can't be a police officer until you're 21. So why not?
Right. You can't do it sooner. So
So he just did. The other ones all did like 2 to 3 years. And they're doing amazing.
There you go.
I mean, Mercedes was like, I'm all done with this. And she ended up going out there and was making close to $200K.
Wow.
At 25 years old. So I'd just say go where you're happy.
Definitely. And I think in this day and age, it's more about, you know, even just getting the certification, not necessarily the degree, but just, no, I know my stuff. Here's my certification. You know, and then the who you know. Definitely when it comes to, you know, film and video, I feel like I was constantly told that, you know, it's just going to be about who you know, not what you know necessarily. Yeah.
And it's all in what you want to explore and learn.
Yeah.
Because as we know, learning is abundant on the internet now.
Very true. Very true. But you got to be careful on your resources, on who you're learning from.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah.
I agree.
And so, you know, you definitely had an opportunity, like all of us, to go many different paths. You know, you always say, like, the athlete's going to make the choice. You're going to make the choice.
Yeah.
Tell me the tale that made you make the choice to do this. You know, you could have been a realtor, like, you know, most of Arizonans.
Yeah. And I did dabble places. I mean, my background's construction accounting. Imagine that.
Right.
And then I actually in 2016 was handed over my full dream, which was my dad's electrical contracting company.
Oh, wow.
Always wanted that. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh my God. Did not like that at all. As soon as it was like mine, I was like, I am out of here as fast as I can be.
Oh, wow.
Out. I just didn't, being the boss and then having, you know, men in the field kind of like thinking I don't know what I'm doing. No, I just was not in a headspace for that. And it's funny because I always say you kind of, for me, stick with what you started with. Because if you look at my journey, when I started in coaching and mental performance, when I got first certified and things, was 2017.
Okay.
And my son, a senior at that time, was amazing at his football position, but there was always just a little something. Same with wrestling. It was always just like that.
What position did he play?
Football, he was D end.
Okay.
And then he wrestled too. But it was like, what is it? And I said, Coach, I don't get it. It's like, he goes, mindset. And he threw Carol Dweck's book at me. Mindset. And I was like, okay. And it was funny because that same time he graduated high school 2017. So that's when he went in ASU and Ryan joined the military and all the things kind of went sideways. So I thought, great, I'm going into mental performance. I'm going to work with cops and military. I mean, that was hard.
Yeah.
Because it's just, they're already like at a certain age. It was very hard. And I did lean into like, okay, maybe I'll do like the high school kids. But, you know, you just kind of go through. And then, as you know, one of my bigger, more known backgrounds is suicide prevention and stuff. So in that 2017, when Ryan joined the military, and I started seeing how that's affecting them in there, and then paying attention to that, how it's trickling so into the youth, down to like 10 years old. So I really got deep into that, working in that space and there. And that just really is what got me into teens. And then as I just keep working and iterating and knowing where my joy was not, like nobody wants to wake up to how many kids, people just felt the need to tell me everything since I was in. And I'm like, I'm just prevention over here, recognition. I am not your therapist. Not a therapist. But people thought I needed to know everything, everywhere. So I was like, this is really hard, waking up every day, hearing about a different kid or this or that. So I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And, you know, that's when I was just really getting into executive function and emotional intelligence and just, hey, let's give them the modalities. Getting certified, master certified NLP. I'll give kids the modalities to learn so they don't get to these spaces. It was all about what can we do to prevent that? And that just kind of led me into the athletic path. That brings me utter joy. Being at like Friday Night Lights, you're just like, yes, bring it. Because there's so much love. There's so much dedication. But there is also still the hard stuff.
There is. Yeah.
Very hard stuff. And then learning how that and what people don't realize transferring from high school to college, especially even at a bigger college, if you make a mistake, I mean, we're talking some kids get death threats. Adults are not nice. So that was devastating
it's insane
to me.
To think to do that to a child. Like,
yeah.
And
it's
over
like,
a game. Like really at the you know, I play fantasy football. I love sports. I'm very competitive as well, but it is a game at the end of the day.
Right.
It's just,
but there's a lot of money and a lot of things and a lot of
well, and now that gambling too, with gambling being open, it's just a whole other situation.
Yeah. So when I started hearing that, I'm like, oh my gosh. So again, in this kind of preventative side, let's get these high school kids headed to that college athletic piece and have them be ready. Here's things you're going to have to look for. Here's what you're going to need to do. Like, so it's just really, it just became all about that. And then again, that's where like, oh yeah, I am certified in mental performance. Well, this just makes sense.
Hand in hand. Yeah.
And again, I've never been more happy in my job.
That's great.
I really am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And you can use a lot of that, you know, background into this. Because I'm assuming, you know, an athlete is under so much more pressure than your average student. And so what would be some signs for a parent if you just, you know, what would be signs in the child that the parent should identify that they're just not right? Maybe, you know, the kind of going along with your suicide prevention. What are some of those?
Like if the kids say approaching burnout or not right to do like college athletics.
Right.
You know, really, I would say the number one thing is, do they love the sport anymore? Do they love it? Or are they just doing it because they feel like they have to do it? Are they loving it for the game? Are they doing it because they need to keep the scholarship? Are they doing it because they feel, you know, I don't want to let down the team? So I would say that's number one. That would be a huge sign of burnout or something is happening. And then just, you know, how dedicated are they compared to what they used to? Really those things. Social aspect, if you want to just go even on basic non-athletics, are they the same socially? Are they having the same friends? Do they want to participate in the same activities and stuff? Are they more closed off? I would just say grades slipping. It's really all about, I always say, intuition as a mom, a parent, but more so mom. Mm-hmm. And I'm not picking on dads. I love you dads, but moms just have it. We carried the baby. We have the intuition. We raise the babies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When there's something wrong with your 3-year-old. You can look at your 3-year-old and you'll know that it's the ear or something. You know the cry is different. Mm-hmm. You can be in this room and a cry and you're like, you hear cry and you're like, oh my God, right?
Yeah, so true.
So I say it's just the same. Mm-hmm. We got to just pay attention to our kids and have communication. Mm-hmm. Ask them. Like I'll still ask my boys. They're, 27, 25. I'm still like, hey, how's your brain? How you feeling? I'm here for you. Mm-hmm. I don't push them. They're adults. I don't want to be the mom that's like, oh my God, Mom, every time you call me, you like lecture me about therapy. Subtly. But I say just really lean into the intuition.
Yeah, how's your brain? That's an interesting.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
How's your
question.
brain?
Yeah,
because it's just kind of like fun instead of like, hey, how you feeling? That's different. My stomach's upset. That's not the same. How's your mental state? That's weird. The kid would be like, what? So I just make it a joke. How's your brain? Because they know what that means. Coming from me.
It feels lighthearted that way. It feels,
it's lighthearted. It's that, hey, how's your brain? I'm here for you. You know what I'm skilled in. I'm also willing, like, hey, I've got therapists on standby. I will buy down whatever you need. You don't even need to tell me. Just say, Mom, sign me up. I don't need to know why. Mm-hmm. I care and I love you. I probably don't want the horror stories, but hey, I just think making sure there's open and knowing, like the little thing with my daughters. I just hired them a dietitian, the 13-year-olds. I am not involved in that. I trust Sam. Sam has her conversations. They know when they need to log in. And it's all about empowering them and giving them that. I don't drill them. If there's something Sam needs me to know, she'll tell me.
Nice.
Other than that, it's theirs. It's going to empower them. It's going to teach them. So I think parents need to do that too. What do you need? I'm here for you. And that doesn't mean you have to tell me the dirt. Mm-hmm. Just let me help you and let it go. They'll tell you what they want you to know. Excellent. But just stay on top of it. That's it.
So communication, but non-judgmental communication is what I'm hearing.
Yes, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So you mentioned a book a moment ago. You said Mindset. Is that the title of the book?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Carol Dweck, she is, oh my gosh, I think she even was teaching at a college, one of them, maybe even Stanford. I don't even know. Shame on me. But it's a great book. It's been around a long time. She has assessments in there that you can take to decide. She really focuses on growth versus fixed mindset, which is important. So it's a fantastic book to get started. I do a lot of my teachings kind of from that. When I am in the middle of teaching elite mindset, I'll take pieces from that because we have to have the growth versus that fixed mindset. And people need to understand it's something you can do, you're not born with.
Excellent.
So yeah, it really was about that. It's taught me a ton. Can be a little dry.
Okay.
But it's good.
It's good though. Okay. Are there other titles of tales that you enjoy, whether, it be personal development or even just enjoyment,
Yeah. Right now, one thing I'm doing is I learned about this app called Heroic. I don't know if it's like little philosopher's notes. They're it's 6 pages to read or it's under 20 minutes. And he basically Cliff's Notes books for you. I know. And they're all under there's some on sleep. Right now I'm going through all the mental performance ones. So there's all kinds of authors and very cool books like Grit and, just these different authors. As you know, there's some of the Brandon Burchard and those type of higher achieving coach people have books in there. So this guy who reads them just takes the super nuggets.
Nice.
And that's been wildly helpful. It's just very cool because I love to I'm a firm believer, be educated in what you do, learn what you know so you can speak it. But there are so many people so above me that have put so much time and energy in that are valuable. So I love to take some of their nuggets and pass it on to the kids. I'm not all knowing. I am still learning. And I always tell people the kids still teach me. And I might take a great nugget from this one and now I'm able to apply it over here, which if I hadn't experienced this or this sport, I wouldn't have really known. So I think we have to be open in that. And when you do read books or take books, just take what you need at the moment
And then re-listen or reread sometimes.
Correct.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I recently did that. Just re-listen to some books and you're like, oh, I don't remember hearing that nugget.
I know.
Because you weren't ready to receive,
Right.
Yeah,
you'll receive the nuggets you need when it's the time you need them.
That's so true.
Kind of woo, but not super woo.
Not sure.
I always tell people,
right?
I love the universe. I believe in it for sure, but
but not too woo.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
So as you're, girls growing up, pigtails or ponytails?
Man, that's hard. Right now, nothing. I can't do anything. Yeah. I usually would do the 2.
Yeah.
When they're little, especially.
They're so cute.
Because it's just too cute.
It's too cute. I think up until about 2nd grade. 2nd, 3rd grade, then you're like, it's getting close. Like you can get away with it occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't know. For myself, I grew up during Spice Girls, so I was Baby Spice, pigtails for an entire year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only reason they do like a back pony is just to keep it out of the way for exercise or whatever. A hat or if it's a braid.
Yes.
But yeah, it's always, and even now they do the kind of the 2 braids. Actually, you know what they're doing right now? It's like you do a ponytail and then you do 2 braids off the ponytail.
Oh,
it's very weird.
Interesting.
Hey.
My daughter doesn't let me do anything to her hair. There's a teacher at her school that apparently is allowed to do her hair. I'm not.
Oh,
so she always comes home with like a French braid and like all these cute things. I'm like, oh, wow.
Don't you love that? See, that's why I use that to my advantage. Yeah. I tell parents, hey, it all takes a village. And I tell coaches the same. It takes a village to raise the kids and all the things. Let me be this support person so you can just be mom.
Yeah.
I'll help in the, building some direction and some organization and this and that. And you just get to love them instead of hounding them.
Yes.
Moms like that.
Yes.
They're like, thank you. I appreciate that.
We like support.
Yes.
We like help. That's true.
Right. There's nothing wrong with getting support.
No.
And it's hard because a lot of moms don't I had a nanny at one point with the twins. I worked from home, but I had a nanny.
Yeah,
because
you need to. You want to get any work done.
They were twins. No, but I value that.
Yeah.
I value that support and it was important.
And as a coach, do you value coaches? Do you yourself? And so, what do you think what do you think the true role is of a coach?
I think a head coach has a quite different role than specialty coaches, right? So I think his core role is really, if I had to look at the bigger picture, that team culture, creating an overall safe space. He probably needs to know all of his stuff and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I think most importantly, it's about, and in my mind right now is thinking, a bigger team sport, right? I think it's that culture. Because if you can keep that culture and that balance, you now can let your, offensive coach do, your kicking coach do, your quarterback coach do. They do like the really fine tune. And then you've got the fine tune skills. Now we want to bring them together as a whole.
Yeah.
That's his job. So that's how I can kind of sell myself to coaches. Like I am not, which is interesting, I'll say, female coaches do not receive me as well as male coaches.
Interesting.
And
why do you think that's the case?
I feel like it's a threat. Like I can do my job. I'm a good coach. I know this. Great. Never said you weren't a great coach. But imagine if you can just focus on what you should focus on, because we can't be the best at everything.
Right.
You can't be a great leader here. Every leader has a team. I'm just a piece of the team. I'm going to help with the mindset. I'm going to help with these so you can do this. And the guys see that. 90% of the male coaches are like, they see me as an asset, like they would a kicker specialist or a quarterback coach. They're like, you are valuable. You're going to make the team shine, which is me. I'm the team. So if they shine, I shine.
Yeah.
And it's really about kind of helping in that space and like making them feel good there that, hey, I'm here to help make you shine in the team. I'm not here to do something you're incapable of doing. I don't think head coaches, they should be capable of that. That shouldn't be their focus. They've got other things to do.
Definitely.
So, and I do teach them too. I always say it's important. Just like I teach the parents. I always coach the parent, coach the coach. Because they need to know what's happening so they can kind of be that reminder. That's the only task I put on people. It's like, I just want you to know so you can just remind. If you see your kid, having a bit of a a stressful moment or something, be like, hey, you remember that breath work?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Because we need that repetition.
We need that consistency too.
Yep.
Of messaging of this is what you do when you're in the scenario. So
Correct.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah. I can come in all day long, teach you something, but one workshop isn't going to change your life.
Right.
It's being reminded constantly, and that will eventually change your life. So you have to rely on head coaches, other coaches, and parents to help with that, because I am not there babysitting you every day.
Right. Well, you may not be able to babysit everyone every day, but what's one piece of advice, whether it's to the athlete or to the parents of those athletes, what's one piece of advice you want people to walk away with?
Don't underestimate the power of the mind and your mindset. As a businesswoman, as a mom, as any place, anywhere, don't underestimate that. Do a little homework, do a little something, even if it's just a little meditation. Just learn and continue to grow in that space, because it's very important. Skill will not take you as far as adding great mindset will.
Definitely.
That makes between the 10% and the others is the mindset.
Mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Mindset's key.
It is.
And so the Teen Warrior Academy, how can we stay connected? We're going to have all the links, on the description. You can see here on the pages, but what platforms are you most active on, or how can people get connected with you more?
Most active on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And then just, my website, TWA Mental Performance or Teen Warrior Academy, one and the same.
Excellent.
And then, my Insta is just my name, Suzi Freeman.
Suzi with an I.
Yes.
We'll put links in there. Everyone will have links to all your stuff. So stay connected. It's definitely a evolving category, I feel, with student athletes.
Yes.
And so it's one where even if you don't have kids yet, or if you do have kids and they might get into sports, or you don't know how good they are in their sport yet, it's still important to know. The more you know. Yeah, and sports are all relative. Yeah. What I'm doing can help academically. You want Ivy League? That takes a lot too. Mm-hmm. Starting your own business? That takes a lot too.
That's a whole different one.
Yes.
No, same concept, but that's tough. That's very tough.
Well, I really thank you for your time. I thank you for teaching me how to have a delicious and healthy popcorn snack. The avocado oil with some seasoning. That's pretty tasty. So thank you for that. That was amazing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for your time today. So everyone, make sure that you follow Suzi and take care of those student athletes of yours. Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.